Hello and welcome back to The Rabbit Hole. We're your hosts, I'm Cara.
And I'm Chloe.
And today we're going to delve into something quite scary.
Cruise ships.
Yeah, I'm terrified of cruise
You'll
ships.
never catch me on a cruise ship
No,
after
honestly.
after what we're going to talk about.
No,
Scary
but
stuff.
honestly though, because like so much stuff happens on cruise ships that you don't even understand.
The amount of people that go missing.
No, people just go overboard and then like I've heard stories of they'll literally see the boat in the background and there's nothing that they can do. Like they can just watch the boat.
That is a scary way to
That's
go.
one of my biggest fears. Like you can literally see and then there's just nothing, just the boat leaving. Not for me.
The story that I've got for you about cruise ships will make you never want to go on a cruise ship.
Can I just say my story's about a ship without the cruise? Just
Oh,
a
so
ship.
it's just the ship.
So can we just say this podcast is about cruises
Ships.
and ships, just to put that out there. Go on,
Yeah.
tell us yours.
So this story starts on the 22nd of March 2011.
Okay.
Rebecca Corium was a British crew member who was working aboard a cruise ship and was captured by CCTV in the crew lounge having a phone conversation that appeared to be causing her stress and difficulty.
Right.
Several hours later, she missed the beginning of her work shift and could not be found anywhere aboard the ship.
No.
Even after crew
No.
members had searched her room and announced her name over the speakers, they searched for her off the Pacific coast of Mexico. Couldn't find her. Her disappearance was the first incident in the history of the Disney Cruise Line.
Oh, can we
So
even
she was
talk about
part of
this?
Disney Cruise.
Mickey Mouse is gonna be knocking at that
She's-
door.
She's not going to be very
Oh.
happy.
No.
So, bit of backstory on
Yeah.
her. She was born on the 11th of March 1987 in the Countess of Chester Hospital in Chester,
Oh,
England.
really? It's quite close.
Yeah.
Oh.
She grew up in Chester with her parents, her sister Rachel, and two foster brothers.
Yeah.
So after she finished high school, she also worked at Chester Zoo,
Oh, it's quite cool.
where other relatives of hers had worked.
Yeah.
And in June 2010, she went to London to interview for the Disney Cruise crew member position. And after being hired, she went to the company's theme parks in Florida for training.
Yeah.
After 4 months of cruises to the Bahamas, where the ships were
Oh.
registered, she went back to Britain for 2 months off. When she returned to work, it was for the Disney Wonder based in the port of Los Angeles.
Hey, okay.
She returned home to Chester for 2 weeks, and during this period, her grandfather had died, which is really upsetting.
Would just like to say Chloe's a little ill at the minute. That's why her
Got
voice
a
keeps going.
scratchy voice. And that was the last time her family
that's
saw
very
her in
sad.
person.
Yeah.
She was often keep in touch with her family via Skype and Facebook. And on the 21st of March 2011, the day the ship left Los Angeles,
Yeah.
she sent what ended up being her last message through Facebook to her parents, telling them that she'd call her sorry, I need to cough.
You good?
Yeah, she sent that what ended up being her last message through Facebook to her parents, telling them that she would call them the following day. Her mother was concerned when she went 12 hours without a response and no phone call, as Rebecca had promised the
do you
previous
think-
day.
Well, it wouldn't have been a family then that she was on the phone to on CCTV.
Well, the footage, we're going to talk about that now.
Oh, okay.
So a review of the CCTV footage found one appearance of her time-stamped at 5:45 a.m. An early unverified account, supposedly from another crew member, but it's unverified, so they're not too sure.
Oh.
It claimed that she'd gone overboard at 3 a.m., nearly 3 hours earlier than...
Then she was seen on the footage.
Yeah.
Doesn't add up, does it?
No. So on the footage, a young man walks up to her and appears to ask if everything's all right, and her mouth can be read saying, yeah, fine. After which he hangs up. She then walks away, pushing her hair back and putting her hands in her back pockets, mannerisms her parents say were common to her, so it was not out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
Mike and Anne-Maria Corium, Rebecca's parents, were flown out from England to meet the ship when it returned. They met the Bahamian detective and he told them he'd spent only 1 day on board investigating the ship and her disappearance before flying back home.
Only one day.
The detective also told them that he'd interviewed only a few crew members and none of the passengers. A family claimed Disney kept them in a car with blacked out windows and brought them on board through a... Sorry. The Coriums claimed Disney kept them in a car with blacked out windows and brought them on board through a side entrance after all the passengers had disembarked the ship.
Why though?
Dodgy.
Why?
The Wonder's captain gave his condolences and expressed his theory that Rebecca had been washed overboard by a wave while at the crew pool. A theory that the family doubted due to the high walls around it and
Yeah.
I'm stuttering.
It's okay.
A theory that her family doubted due to the high walls around it and weather reports that did not show signs of high waves at all
No.
that morning.
It's a bit dodge.
Yeah. On the day before the first anniversary of her disappearance, her father received an email from a woman who claimed that she'd seen Rebecca in the streets of Venice, and she was
Wait.
85% sure that it was her.
Wait, what? But if they'd seen it on the CCTV footage, how would that
Yeah.
check out?
His uncle said that it was an email that seemed legitimate, and it was very upsetting for everyone to think that she could be out there somewhere after all this time. But then they started to wonder how she could have gotten there without her passport, because that was one of the items that they
Yeah.
retrieved after
And
being on board
why
and
would
searching
she-
her room.
Why would she not try to get home?
A journalist called John Ronson took the Wonder along the same route and made discreet inquiries while on board, with the family's permission, of course. Several crew members, none of whom wanted their names used, who had been on the ship at the same time as Rebecca's disappearances, spoke to him. They suggested that more was known about her fate than Disney or the police had admitted.
Oh, no, cover up.
Many of them told him that it straight up didn't happen. And they also followed that by, that's the answer we have to give you.
What?
After
Mickey Mouse is literally, he's outside.
After
He's not happy.
touring the areas of the ship open to passengers, he decided that Corium had probably slipped and fallen while jogging on the deck for jogging track. The railings were low enough sorry.
Drink some water.
No, I'm alright. The railings that were low enough for the accident to happen, and she regularly kept herself in shape by jogging, so that wasn't out of the ordinary for her to be jogging.
Yeah.
However, the track was heavily covered by disguised security cameras, so there was no way that would have happened without them seeing it happen.
Do these ships not have security cameras facing like the outer, what do you call it, like the outer?
They had, that's the
walls?
thing, they had security cameras everywhere.
So
So
when
how?
they see her falling over, like why would that not be on the footage?
Exactly. After the reporter returned, Melissa, a woman who claims Corium had told to contact them,
Yeah.
told him that the day after the disappearances, flowers were placed on the wall near the pool, apparently by the cruise company itself. And the woman who was telling about it said that they didn't know why they were putting there. No one told her why they were putting flowers down. They were just told that they had to put these flowers down.
Oh. So like none of the passengers knew anything.
No, neither did any of the crew.
That's probably like protocol though. Like they probably weren't allowed to say anything, cause like a panic.
So the people who were putting the flowers down said Disney knows exactly what happened. Everything here is taped. There's CCTV everywhere. Disney has to have a tape.
But why would they cover something like that up though? I don't get it.
Near the end of the voyage, another crew member who sought him out explained in further detail that even though there's walls around the pool are high, the seas were rough at the time and she could have been tossed off the ship. But
they would have
again,
had that on camera.
and there was reports that the waves were not high that night at all. And to this day, she's still missing. The family weren't given any tapes.
It's been 10 years as well. Wait, the family weren't even allowed to check the tape?
No, family didn't see any tapes.
Oh, really?
Only Disney have
Why
seen
are they
the tapes.
covering up?
Some of the theories are that she committed suicide, and that's why they aren't showing any tapes.
Yeah, but then you'd think they'd still have that information though, and they'd come out and just
Another
say,
one was that she was murdered, and they're trying to cover that up. And another one was that she was known as a risk taker, and maybe she was sat up on one of the walls and had simply fallen off. But she's still missing. No one knew what happened
one
to her.
knows where
Disney
she
are
is.
covering it up.
I guess they wouldn't want that, like, on their kind of...
Yeah, it's a very family friendly brand.
Yeah, I guess they don't want to cause, like, a panic in the cruise ship. So, it highly would have been covered up if there was any of those
At least
things.
tell the family though.
I know, don't keep it from the
Give
family.
them closure.
I know, because imagine, like, they don't even know what happened to this day.
Yeah.
Scary, though. A lot happens on cruise ships. What do you think happened?
I think that it must have been maybe a murder that's been covered up, or
Maybe.
I don't know.
But you'd think
I want to know
police
who she was on the
arrest-
phone to.
Yeah, that's
made
what
her so
makes me think it's just a
distressed.
bit... I don't know, the whole situation's just a bit
Bit dodgy.
strange. I hope one day we get to learn the
I
truth.
hope we find out what happened to her. Poor Rebecca.
I know. Didn't even happen that long ago.
No.
my story, again, it's not really a cruise ship.
What is it?
So I missed the point of this
Missed the
episode.
memo.
Missed the memo. Someone didn't tell me. But have you heard of the Mary Celeste?
I've heard briefly about it.
Yeah, probably from me. It's one of my favourite stories to talk about. It's this ship. And while it was out, well, this is a story I've heard, but I've actually heard it's different than what I thought it was in my head when I was researching. But the story I had in my head, this ship. So it's just out shipping, like...
Like ships still.
Well, like ships still. And another ship comes up to it, finds a ship. They're like, oh, that's weird. Why is this ship here? They get on board. No one's on board. They go into like the dining area. There's still food, like half eaten, like drinks, half drunk. No one's on board. They don't know what happened. And it's just this unknown mystery. That's what I thought had gone on. It's kind of like that, but it's slightly different. They win.
It's kind of like they just up and left.
The up and left or the disappeared. But when they got there, the food wasn't really like half eaten on the plates, so they didn't really disappear, which is what I've learned.
Oh.
So I had a bit of false information in my brain, don't know where that came from. But the ship began its fateful voyage on November the 7th, 1872. So it's a long time ago. Sailing with 7 crewmen and their captain, who also, his wife was on board, and the couple's 2-year-old daughter as well.
Oh.
So, the last entry log, which is like a ship's entry log, like where they're going, was recorded at 5 a.m. on November 25th, the 25th November. After spotting the Mary Celeste 10 days later, then the 25th of November, the Del Gratier, how would you say? Gratia crewmen sailed the ship 800 miles to like the nearest land.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's a long way to go.
Yeah.
So they were about 400 miles east of the Azores on December the 5th when crew members spotted a ship adrift in the choppy seas. So the captain was taken back to discover that the unguided vessel was actually the Mary Celeste, which had left New York City 8 days before him and should have already arrived in its destination. So in Italy, that's where it was supposed to go. So he changed course to offer them help, thinking that maybe, they were just a bit lost. Bit stuck. But Morehouse, which is the captain's name, sent a boarding party to the ship. Below decks, the ship's charts had been tossed about and the crewmen's belongings were still in their quarters. The ship's only lifeboat was missing, meaning people could have left, but why would they have left the stuff? It's one of the things. And one of its 2 pumps had been disassembled. 3.5 feet of water was sloshing in the ship's bottom. Sloshing. It's such a horrible word. Sloshing.
Yeah, not great.
And the cargo of 1,701 barrels of alcohol was largely intact. There was a 6-month supply of food and water, but not a salt to consume it.
Oh, wow.
So why would they have left all of that?
Unless it was an emergency.
Yeah, unless they left in a hurry. What happened to the 10 people who had sailed aboard the Mary Celeste? Through the decades, a lack of hard facts has only spared speculation as to what could have happened. Theories have ranged from mutiny, like pirates, to sea monsters.
Oh, like some giant octopus type stuff?
Yeah, like some, what's that, the Kraken?
Kraken. That's a squid, not an octopus.
I've also interestingly heard, speculation about it could have been like parallel universes.
Oh.
Like maybe it went into like some zone and then just
like
crossed
the
over.
Bermuda Triangle, sort of.
Yeah, it wasn't in the Bermuda Triangle, but
like that sort
that kind of, yeah, so maybe people disappeared. We never know.
Weird.
Never know. Speculation concerning sea monsters was easy to dismiss. Don't be so easy. Does it have an open mind? You never know what's out there. The sea is only 5% discovered.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not very...
Mermaids.
Don't really go down there.
Would mermaids have the power, though? What? Speak your mind.
Okay.
They could, you never know. 5% of the ocean's undiscovered. We watch a whole documentary. Remember that? Oh, no, stop trying to... no, not manatees, Chloe, mermaids.
Walruses.
But we watched a whole documentary on mermaids, and I literally believed it till it got to the end, and it was like, this is a hoax.
It was like, this is not real.
And I was like, thanks. Thanks.
We were ready to go downstairs and be like, mermaids are real.
I was about to announce it to my parents and everything, but, the ship's condition intact, and with full cargo, seemed to rule out pirates. If there was pirates on board,
they would have stole it.
Not even
alcohol.
stole it. They would have been examples. Like, there would have been evidence of a fight. There would have been evidence of stuff, maybe some bodies lying around. That, like, it's not just going to leave everything intact, especially with all the alcohol and food. Why would they not take it? So that rules out pirates. One theory bandied about the 19th century held that crew members drank the alcohol on board and then mutinied. But again, most of the alcohol was still there.
Yeah.
And there was no evidence of fighting. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I said it's odd.
Oh, it is. It's quite odd, you know. After interviewing the crewman's descendants, like the crewman's family, they deemed that the scenario was unlikely. Another theory assumed that alcohol vapours expanded into the Azores heat and blew off the main hatch, prompting these aboard to fear an imminent explosion. So, you know, fill it up, they escape because they think it's going to explode. But notes that the boarding party found the main hatch secured and did not report smelling any fumes. And she also says 9 of the 1,701 barrels in the hold were empty, but the empty 9 had been recorded as being made of red oak, not white oak like the others. Red oak is known to be a more, you know, porous wood and therefore more likely to leak, basically. So that rules that out.
Yeah.
There's also a documentary based on the ship by Anne McGregor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, quite cool. As for the homicidal sailor in that play, if you watch it, the mystery of the Mary Celeste, that's what the documentary called. He may have been drawn from 2 German crewmen, brothers, who fell under suspicion because none of their personal possessions were found on the abandoned ship, so they went there.
Oh.
So some of the movie or documentaries of it,
yeah,
they went there. But a Lorenzen descendant told McGregor that the pair had lost their gear in a shipwreck earlier in 1872. She argues that they had no motive, but you know, if they're out there, well, they would have again though. It's the whole scenario. They would have took the food.
Yeah,
Why
they would have taken it with it.
And where would they have took the people? All 10 people. Where would they have took them?
Yeah. I
don't know. It's weird. I love the idea of mysteries, but we should always revisit these things using knowledge that has since come to light, says Anne McGregor, the documentarian who launched the investigation and wrote the true story of the Mary Celeste. Oh. She's the one that says that. After ruling out what didn't happen, McGregor confronted the question of what might have happened, so this is what she thinks could have happened. Yeah. Abandoning a ship in the open ocean is the last thing a captain would order and a sailor would do. But is this what Captain Briggs ordered? If so, why? He was the captain of the ship. His ship was seaworthy. It wasn't flooded or horribly damaged, as we can tell. There's a lot of evidence proving that. Says Phil Richardson, a physical oceanographer at the Woods Hole Oceanographer Institution, and an expert in vessels whom McGregor enlisted in her investigation. The Discovery crew sailed it, so it was in good shape. They couldn't have sailed it if it was like, you know, falling apart, not really there. Briggs' life before the Mary Celeste offered no clues, said McGregor, who visited the captain's hometown in Massachusetts and interviewed descendants of Arthur Briggs, the 7-year-old the Briggs had left behind so he could attend school. So basically, she interviewed other family. There was nothing suspicious going on. It's just they don't know what happened. They don't know why.
Yeah, a little bit weird.
It is. It's a bit strange. She might be able to shed light on why. She knew from the transcriptions of the Mary Celeste's log slate, where notifications were made before they were transferred into the log, that the ship was 6 miles from and within sight of the Azores island of Santa Maria on November 25th, like we spoke before. She knew from the testimony of the De Gratia crew that 10 days later the ship was some 400 miles east of the island. McGregor asked Richardson to work backward and create a path between these 2 points to try and work out the kind of path that they took. The Mary Celeste could have drifted from its recorded location on November 25th to where the De Gratia crew reported finding it on December 5th. The conclusion, yeah, it could have, even without a crew to sail it. So it basically could have sailed itself, drifted a little bit. At that point, McGregor considered the fact that a captain would most likely order a ship abandonment within sight of an island. Since Santa Maria was the last land for hundreds of miles, it seemed safe to assume that the Mary Celeste had been abandoned the morning of the November 25th, when the last log was written.
It's really strange.
Yeah. What do you think happened?
I don't know. That's an odd. It's really stumped me, that one.
No, everything, the food was not touched. Apart from those 9 barrels of wine, but like we said, they could have just leaked.
All I can think is that maybe there might have been like some sort of emergency. They've had to leave in a hurry and obviously not had
They couldn't
time
get
to
the
collect.
things. Like, what emergency that wouldn't have been evidence
Log.
on the ship?
Yeah,
I don't get it. I don't know.
that is a strange one.
Unless they've seen something. Aliens.
But normally they'd log it and be like, oh, we saw something, so we're going to leave.
But why would... If they thought that there was something so drastic happening that they needed to leave now
That they didn't even have time to
write it
report
down. But then why would none of them have made it back to, like, you know...
They were miles. Oh, well, they were in a lifeboat.
They were
maybe.
by Santa Maria.
Yeah.
They were in a lifeboat. Maybe they got in a lifeboat and then maybe they didn't make it back to
Yeah.
land. But they were by land. I don't know. The whole thing is quite suspicious.
Yeah, that one is an odd one.
It is. I love, like, researching it, though, with the Mary Celeste. It's
Never
quite a
going to
cool
get
one.
me on a cruise ship or a ship in
No.
general after today's episode, I don't think.
Just in general. I don't know why. Don't know what it is about ships. They've always freaked me out. You know why? Because I hate sharks.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Not that, like, because you're on the boat.
Not-
Like, you're not going to, you know, get eaten by a shark. But you never know.
You
Stay
could
out the
go
water.
You could go overboard. It happens.
You could go overboard.
Happens.
Happens a lot. All the cruise. Have you seen them ones where cruise ships, the power just goes off, and then people
No.
will be like days on the water without any power or anything.
No.
That's quite scary.
No,
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
you'd just be bored. So
On a
bored.
cruise ship?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
I just don't think you'd ever catch me on one.
One catch on a cruise ship? No. No. Well, if you ever catch Chloe on a cruise ship, then you know we're in a parallel universe.
Yeah, you absolutely would never.
Thank
Not
you
that I
for
could
tuning in.
afford. Not that I could afford a cruise ship.
You can get some cruise ships that are not that bad. No? Not Disney.
Not absolutely.
Not Disney.
No, not
the
Disney.
only like close we've got to any Disney cruise ship is when it's some kind like sometimes comes to Liverpool and we go
That mouse
"Oh,
knows
look
things.
at that.
That
mouse
things.
knows things. Ooh, but you know, don't step up to the mouse. Never. We'll leave him be. You
Yeah.
can stay there.
You ready to wrap this up now?
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Getting a bit carried away.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching this episode of In the Rabbit Hole. We've
Bit of-
been your
A
hosts.
weird one.
Bit of a strange one. Let us know what you think in the comments about all these stories that we've told you today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in.